My name's Evan Oxner, and thanks for being an Amherst Wesleyan Church mobile site. Here at AWC, we aim to be down-to-earth people following Jesus in down-to-earth ways. And one of the ways that we do that is by connecting honestly and by building honest teams of real people. Today we're learning about how to grow spiritually, and that we grow spiritually by constantly doing what God says. We're excited that you've decided to join us to worship today, worship in song, worship in the Word, and worship in giving. And one of the reasons that we give here at AWC is because we believe that God is much better at providing for us than money is, or resources, or scheming, or anything. We believe He's got it, and that He's worthy of our praise and our giving. Now, if you've decided to give, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can do that through the mail, through dropping it off at the church, through e-transfer, or through our Tithely app. If you're just checking us out, or God is calling you to give someplace else, then feel absolutely no pressure to give to AWC. Just know that God is calling you to worship through giving somewhere. I'd also like to let you know that we are starting the marriage course in February. And it starts February 3rd, Wednesday, February 3rd at 7 p.m. Now this course, it's a bit intense, but it is just this incredible course that has incredible potential to elevate and to help you in your marriage, or you in those significant relationships in your life, to really work out some of the kinks and help you get to a real healthy, really strong place. And so whether you're married, or you're engaged, or you're hoping to be married, this course is for you. And it happens Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and it's about 2 hours long each week, so 7 to about 9. And we are offering it both as an on-site course and an online course. And both happen same time, Wednesdays at 7, but you can register for that course. It's free to register for. You can register for that on our website, www.amherstwesleyan.com. You can register for it there, and you can either join us in person and do it here at AWC, or you can do it through Zoom online that same night and go through the course, because we know that it can be difficult with the restrictions, and it can be difficult finding a babysitter to try to go through some of this stuff. And so we're making it on-site and available online. And I really encourage you to check that out. I'm going to try to make a way that even with our kids and the restrictions, I'm going to be able to take it. So I really encourage you to check that out. Now, let's worship together and investigate how we can grow spiritually by constantly doing what God says. Well, as we've mentioned already, we're talking about how to grow spiritually today. So we're going to take a look at a passage in the book of Hebrews, which is in the New Testament of the Bible, way near the end. Cheryl's got it ready for us. It's Hebrews chapter 5. She's going to be reading verses 11 to 14. So Hebrews chapter 5, 11 to 14. Take it away.
Here we go. We have much to say about this, but it's hard to explain because you are slow to learn. In fact, though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you the elementary truths of God.
Ouch.
Yeah. Of God's Word all over again. You need milk, not solid food. Anyone who lives on milk, being still an infant, is not acquainted with the teaching about righteousness. But solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil.
Excellent, thank you. So that's the writer of this book, and we're not entirely sure who it was. The best guess is Paul, but we're not entirely sure. He's writing to basically Jewish people who have decided to follow Jesus. And he gives them these pretty blunt and harsh words like, you guys should be way further, way more mature, way better at this stuff than you are. Like, you guys, you're old enough to be in high school, and you guys are still like building with letter blocks. Like, what's going on here? And he just kind of lays it out and says, you guys should be way further along than this.
Yep.
And that's pretty harsh. It seems pretty harsh, but the reality is that if we look in our own lives, we may find that we're in the same spot as them.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, he doesn't give a whole lot of examples here of what it could be, but for us, it can be when we try to figure things out and figure out if they're right or wrong, and we find that we constantly lack clarity on whether things should be right or wrong, and things that should be obvious to us as followers of Jesus, we just don't know. It's just totally blind about it. We may fall for the same old temptations, the same old stumbling blocks over and over and over again. Yeah. Where it's not we do good for like a year and then we have a little bad day and we're back on track, but like constantly falling for the same temptations, falling for the same sins, doing the same mistakes over and over and over again, and not being able to get out of it or beat it or see it coming and get out of the way. Yeah. Or we find that we're just not seeing any change in our lives, and we're kind of stuck in the same patterns, and we're not getting better, we're not getting wiser, we're not getting kinder, and we're just stuck. Or we find that we have turned this whole relationship with Jesus thing into just about us, and we're not making a difference in anybody else's life.
Yeah.
And if I can say that I fall into any of those situations, then the reality is that as a follower of Jesus who has been following him for quite a while, I should be way past this. There are things that I should be able to do and things that I should be accomplishing and seeing in my life and seeing in the lives around me that I'm not. And the reason for that is because I haven't grown up spiritually enough. And the author gives us a pretty it doesn't seem super obvious if you're just reading through the passage, but at the end he gives us a pretty clear explanation or guide for how it is that we're supposed to grow up. And that is simply that we grow up spiritually by constantly doing what God says. Let me say it again. We grow spiritually by constantly doing what God says. So what that means is that when he says to be kind to someone, we do it. When he says don't lie, you don't lie. When he says you need to go and share this with somebody, you need to go and share that. When he says you need to tithe, you tithe. And every step of the way, when he tells you to do something, you need to do it. And if you're doing that and doing it constantly, then you will find that you are being reprogrammed. Your habits change, your thoughts change, you start to see things differently. And your whole ability to read God's word and understand it, or be able to pray and hear him speak to you, and your whole way of living begins to change and twist a little bit and be reoriented. But that only happens if you're doing what God says constantly. Yeah. Cheryl?
Yeah, and you know, it's like driving a car or riding a motorcycle. You can read as many books as you want to. Mm-hmm. You can go online and you can watch YouTube videos as the day is long, but until you actually get on the bike or get behind the wheel, you're not going to learn what it's really all about. And if you stop doing it for a while, like I know what that's like. I've had a couple of points in my life where I wasn't allowed to drive for medical reasons. Mm-hmm. And then when you start again, it's like, oh, I forgot about this and I forgot about this, right? And so we have to keep constantly doing the things that we're supposed to so that we grow and we develop and we become better at it.
Absolutely. I can remember talking with some teenagers and even some people in recent years where they read the driver's handbook and they were like, I got this figured out. This is how it goes. And then they get behind the wheel and it's like major whiplash the whole trip, right? Yeah. And you don't know until you start doing it and you do it consistently and you do it constantly. And that's what the author is saying, that if you want to grow spiritually, you have to do what God says constantly. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's what it boils down to. And what that really looks like, I'm going to give you some real practical examples here. You need to be reading your Bible. You need to know your Bible. You need to not just read it. You need to be familiar with the stuff. Start memorizing the scriptures. You need to be in prayer. You need to spend time talking to God and listening to Him. You've got to be able to obey the obvious things, like don't punch your neighbor in the face, don't lie, don't steal. You shouldn't be looking at stuff online that leads you to lust and to adultery and cheating on your spouse, even just in your mind and in your heart. Like, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that. You shouldn't be trying to find ways to manipulate the government to cheat on your taxes. Like, those are the obvious things. Don't do them. When he says you need to give to the poor, you need to serve those in need, you need to give kind words, you need to be thankful. We need to do those things. Those are the simple, obvious things that are outlined in the Bible. That it's not I don't know what that means. No, not lying means don't lie. Yeah. Giving means you give. It's obvious. We need to do those things. It means we need to obey the subtle things, like the things that you learn how to discern. Like, for me, I know that if I'm troubled in my spirit, in my gut about something, or it's like, I don't know if this is really an honesty thing or a dishonest thing. It's kind of a gray zone on whether or not I need to file that form. But I feel it in my spirit. I know that's God telling me, no, you need to do that. And so you'll learn, and over time of doing the obvious things, you learn to discern the subtle things, and you have to do those, and you have to do those consistently. It means you got to obey when you're at church, and when you're at home, and when you're at school, and when you're at work, and when you're at the dry cleaners, and when you're shopping, and when you're online, and when you're watching Netflix, and when you're cooking supper, and when you're at the grocery store, and when you're getting your nails done. Whatever it means, you got to be doing those things not just when it's convenient and easy, but you need to be doing it everywhere. And it also means that we need to do the hard things, the costly things right away. Which that can be admitting a fault, it can be confessing something, it can be going to somebody and asking for forgiveness, it can be forgiving someone. And when God puts that on your heart, it's doing that right away. And you find that if you start doing all those things and you start doing those things constantly, you will find that you gain clarity and that things become more and more clear, easier and easier to see and understand. You'll find that you're not stumbling for the same old temptations and sins over and over again, that it will become easier and easier to say no to them and to avoid them and to see them coming and for them to not be appealing. You'll start seeing change in your life, in what you're able to do and the way you think and the way you feel and the way you react to things. And you're also going to start seeing changes in how you feel and how you treat others and how you feel towards others and how you interact with others. And you're going to start seeing them be changed in positive ways too. But that only happens when we start to grow spiritually, and we grow spiritually by constantly doing what God says. That's what the author of Hebrews says.
Yeah.
That the people that have grown and can discern right from wrong and know what to do and have that spiritual maturity and aren't babies anymore but have grown up and are really becoming more and more like Jesus, they are the people that have decided to do what God says constantly.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to do. In order to grow spiritually, we need to constantly do what God says.
Hello from Durrës, Albania, where it's cold and really wet. We want to update you on what's been happening here in ministry.
God has opened up the opportunity for me to teach 3 English classes. One is an English conversation class with 2 teen ladies. And I'm excited about some of the discussions we've had, and I'm hoping that God changes it from an English conversation class to an English Bible study.
An update on the jail ministry. The jail's closed to us due to COVID-19 back in March, and they've not yet opened up, and we're not sure when they're going to open up. But I have been able to have limited contact with a couple of men who have been released. One is in Turkey, and the other is in a refugee center near Durrës. I was just able to visit with him today, and he has made sure that every room in the refugee center has a Bible. Most of the people there are men that speak Arabic from the Middle East, and so the gospel is not something that they probably have much access to in their home countries. And I was so encouraged to hear that he had provided a Bible for each room there.
To make a long story short, a mother dog on our street gave birth to 7 puppies. We brought them into our yard to keep them from being thrown into the dumpster and started finding homes for them. Well, who doesn't love puppies? Pretty soon, kids started coming to look at the puppies. Then they asked to come into the yard to play with the puppies. Then they asked to come into the yard to play with JD. And now they're coming into our house to play games. We want to start a kids club with them so they aren't just playing games, but they can learn about the God of the Bible. And you can pray with us that God would give us favor with the parents of these kids, because most of them are Muslim.
Weekly church services are continuing at our ministry center. Although attendance has been low this year, we are encouraged that a couple of young men who lack a bit in their behavior have been coming regularly and going to youth meetings as well, and we're praying that the Lord will get a hold of them and save them. Also, a young lady that we shared the gospel with years ago and has not been with us for quite some time showed up at our Christmas Eve service and has been back for the first 2 Sundays of this year as well. And we're praying that God will get a hold of her too.
You know, the more we minister in trying to reach people for Christ, the more we realize how powerless we are. We can't change these people's beliefs, lives, and hearts. God has to do that. So we've seen a real need for us to spend more time in prayer and ask others to join us in that. We've started a step-up prayer emphasis for January through March, where we send out 1 request each day to people's emails. If you are willing to spend a little time each day and you want to see Albanian lives changed, we would ask you to send us your email address at the address listed on the screen, and just let us know that you want to join this step-up prayer emphasis. We thank you in advance for your prayers, and we can all expect great things from God.
It was about 18 years ago now that I first started feeling that maybe God was calling me to Albania. And when I was finally convinced that God was calling me here, it was not a hard thing for me to say yes. I already had the desire to come. But that's not always the case when God calls us to another step of obedience. Sometimes it's hard. It was different for my uncle. My mother's oldest brother became a Christian when he was 13 years old. He felt the joy and peace that the relationship with the Lord brings. But then he started feeling that God was calling him to India, and he didn't want to go. And he resisted, and the joy and peace went away. And then finally he said, yes, I'll go. And the joy and peace came back. And what is my point in telling this story? The point is that in our relationship with Christ, As He leads us into new steps of obedience, we need to keep saying yes. If we don't, we start to shrivel up and die. But if we say yes, He leads us on to further and further adventures with Him.
Well, in order to get more out of this message, we've put together 3 questions to help you either reflect on it, or to have a discussion with somebody else, or to maybe even meet in a small group and have a discussion about this. Just to take this message and help you dig deeper in it and figure out how it really applies to your life. And here are those 3 questions. Number 1, what areas of your life do you feel stuck in? Number 2, what are the clear things God is calling you to do? Number 3, what would you like to be able to do or have spiritually? Now here's a quick mobile hack for you to get more of this online content. If you schedule a time in your week to either watch this content or to digest the content, discuss it, if you set aside that same time every week, you will build that habit, and it'll allow you to be more comfortable and really engage with the material better. Whether that's Sunday morning or Monday nights or Wednesday mornings or at lunchtime on Thursday, whatever it is, if you find a time that consistently works for you or works for your family to go through this material and to watch this content and have these discussions, if you do that consistently the same time every week, it will allow you to not miss it, help you to not miss it, and allow you to get more out of it, because you're not constantly thinking, when can I do this, when does this fit? And it just becomes part of your routine. Now, as we wrap up here, I encourage you to spend some time in prayer, and we encourage you to pray for our missionaries this week. And as you're going through your week, or you're fasting on Thursdays at lunch, ask that you would give a special prayer for our missionaries to encourage them and to help them in their work. We hope to see you here next week, whether that's online or on site in Amherst, which you can register for by going to our website, www.amherstwesleyan.com. And one way or another, we just want to say thanks for being part of our church.
Hey, thanks for watching.
You can find out more about AWC, our programming for kids, youth, and lots of other resources at www.amherstwesleyan.com.
If you'd like more detailed information, to join one of our small groups, or to become an official AWC mobile site, you can email us at amherstwc@eastlink.ca.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
And we'll see you next week.